Hi, this is Scott with eTrailer. Today we're taking a look at and installing the eTrailer Class 3 hitch for our 2017 Jeep Cherokee. Our eTrailer hitch we have on our Jeep today is going to be a hidden cross tube design, which is really nice. You don't see any tubes or anything hanging down. The only thing you're going to see is the receiver portion hanging down below your Jeep. It's going to be a flat black finish, so this is going to match up really nice with our flat trim that we have for our fascia. So that really kind of blends in really nice with it. This is going to be a good option for people that want to have the ability to carry a bike rack on the back or a cargo carrier, even a small trailer. This one has a pretty good capacity numbers with it. So this one's going to have a pretty heavy tongue weight of 750 pounds. So that's going to be the weight of your bike rack with your bikes on it or your cargo carrier loaded down with all of your gear. Now, as far as trailer weight ratings with this one, it's going to be 5,000 pounds gross trailer weight rating, and that's going to be the weight of your trailer and everything you have on that. And now, if you have weight distribution, it bumps it up a little bit to 6,000, so it gives you a little more weight for your trailer and everything that you have on it. Now, keep in mind, it's always good practice to take a look at your owner's manual and make sure you don't exceed your towing numbers in there. So it's usually best to go with the lowest number between your hitch and your manual. This hitch is going to have a 2-inch opening for our receiver, and it's also going to have a 5/8 pinhole opening, so that's going to take your standard pin. Now, this hitch will not come with a pin and clip, so you may want to pick one up here at eTrailer or take a look at your accessories. Many of your accessories on the market now today will come with a pin and clip. Another nice option for these is a locking pin option. That's going to allow you to lock your bike rack onto the back of your vehicle. So say when you're down the trail and you're a ways down the trail, it's always a nice idea to lock your bike rack in place so nobody can take it while you're gone. Now, for your safety chain loops, they're going to be the wire welded on style, and they're going to accept either your S style hook or your clevis style hook. So that will have you set up for your trailer towing needs. As far as measurements go, from the center of our pinhole out to the edge of our bumper, we're looking at right around 4.5 inches. And with that measurement, you'll be able to decide on if any of your accessories like your bike carrier or your cargo carriers that fold up will make any contact with the back of your vehicle. Now, from the top portion of our hitch to the ground, we're looking at 13 inches. And with that number, you'll be able to decide on if you need to have any rise in the shank of your bike carriers or your cargo carriers for clearance. So if you have any questions or comments about this hitch that we have on our Jeep today, feel free to leave any questions or comments in the comment section below. As far as installation for this one, it's not too bad. You will have to lower the exhaust a little bit. So if it's something you don't have time to do yourself, you can always take a look at our dealer locator and get something done for you locally. If it's something you feel like tackling yourself, stick around, watch our video, and we'll help you get it installed. To start our installation, right behind our fascia here, we're going to have a fascia support panel, and we're going to need to pop this out of the way. So one of the things I like to do, it's a little trick to make this a little easier, that this is going to pop in with little tabs all the way across here. So I'm going to show you a little trick to make that a little bit easier. Now, we're going to have 4 screws that run up into the top of this, but before we take those out, one thing I like to do is you can see these little tabs all the way across here. Now, before we loosen this, what we can do is just push up on these tabs and pull back on that and just work our way across. You push up on the tab and pull that back. Work our way across with that. That's going to allow it to pop loose. Now I can come back through and take out all of our screws. Now we can remove our 4 8mm screws. Now we can move our panel out of the way. Now to give us a little more room, we're going to need to lower our exhaust down a little bit. Now this one's pretty simple. It don't have any trim and this is the single exhaust hanging down, but some of them are gonna have duals, so you may have to pop your exhaust tips out to have that come down. So what I did is I just strapped my exhaust in place. That's gonna support it when I break it loose. Now on both sides of our frame, we're gonna have two 13mm bolts on each side. We'll just go ahead and get those taken out now. We can let down our strap. Now once we get our exhaust undone from the hangers, as you can see, it's just going to hit this piece of frame support here. But what this will allow us to do is move our exhaust out of the way from side to side just enough so it's going to give us a little room to work on each side of our frame. Now next to our frame, we're going to have this body sealer, and it's almost like a thick glue. So what we need to do is just scrape some of that off so our hitch will sit flush up against this. Now what you can use is you can use a putty knife just to go ahead and scrape that off. And we're going to scrape it all the way up to our lower body there. Now on our other side, we're going to have a little tab that's going to stick up. We just want to get that knocked off as well. But for this side, we're going to take this all the way down to bare metal and just remove this whole section all the way up. So I'm going to use my reciprocating cutter multi-tool and just run up all of that just to make it a little bit faster. It's really a good way to do it. And after I do this, I may have a little bit of bare metal showing, so I'll just come back with a little paint and paint over that. Now, we went by the measurements in our instructions and we marked out with some painter's tape. Here we're going to make our cut. We need to get this trimmed out. So this is where our hitch is going to be hanging down and sitting. So I'm just going to use my multi-cutting tool and I'm just going to cut out right where we have this marked. Now, before you make your cut, you always want to kind of feel behind your panel and make sure you're not going to run into any kick sensors or wiring back there. So just give it a good look over and feel around and make sure you're not going to hit any wiring. After we have that all cut out, you're going to have a little bit of burrs around the edges. So what I like to use, you can just use the edge of a putty knife or anything like that, maybe a file if you have one. Just kind of go along those edges. And that's just going to clean off them little burrs. And you're just going to give you a little bit better looking install. Now we're on to our frame rails and we need to get that little rubber plug out of the way. Little rubber plug that goes in the frame. We won't be reusing that, so we'll just get that set aside. So now we're going to start getting our hardware in place. And in our kit, we're going to have these metal coil fish wires. What we're going to do is we're going to go for our side hole in our frame, and we're going to take our coiled end of our wire and work that towards this square opening where we popped out our rubber plug. We want to pull our coil just down just a little bit. Now we'll take one of our spacer plates that come in our kit and we'll take one of our carriage bolts and just thread that on to that spring end. Now we can put our spacer plate and our carriage bolt up through the hole. Now we'll just bring that over towards the hole in the side, give that a little wiggle around, And for now, we'll just leave that there and we'll leave our wire attached. Now we'll move on to the rearmost hole and we'll do the same procedure. Just bring our wire through and back through the square hole again. And same thing, we'll put on one of our spacer plates, thread on a carriage bolt, now we'll push both of those up through the frame, pull our wire down. Now we're also going to be utilizing this square hole as well, so we're going to do what is called reverse fish wire. So what we're going to do is put our spacer plate on to our fish wire, and then we'll thread on our carriage bolt. Now with that on, we'll just push our bolt in first, followed by our spacer plate. Just let that hang right there. Now we are going to leave on all of our wires. We're going to use these to run through our hitch, through our corresponding holes, and that's going to help us keep our bolts where they need to be when we get our hitch in place. Now we can get our hitch lifted in place. I have a helpful set of hands helping me out with this one, and we're just going to put our wires through our corresponding holes, just like so. And now for our side bolt, we want to push that in. Now we can kind of pull our wires, guide it up into place. On this side, we're going to have to go up and over our exhaust. We're just going to hold it in place, go forward. Yep. Now this goes back. Now I just want to make sure we get our wires through. We're not going to be using the center hole. We're going to be using the rear and the front. Now the first one I want to line up will be the one that we pushed in on the side. May have to wiggle that around a little bit to get that one to go. But once we get that in place, it's going to help hold that hitch right there. Now we want to back off that coil. Don't want to drop our bolt, let the hitch hold it in place. Now we'll get a nut in place there. Now we just want to get all of our hardware up finger tight on both sides. Now we'll come back through and just snug down our hardware. I want to do these lower ones first before I do my side ones. That's just going to draw everything up and into place. So we'll just snug those down. Now with these snugged up, now I'll go ahead and snug down the sides. Now we'll come back through and torque down all of our hardware. If you don't have a torque wrench, you can pick one up here at eTrailer, or you can take a look at your local auto parts store. They should be able to wrench you one. Now we could go ahead and get our exhaust put back in place. Just want to lift it up a little bit, tighten up my strap. Now we can just get our bolts threaded back in. With those in place, now we can remove our strap. Now we need to get our fascia support panel back in place, and I kind of held it up there to see where it's going to fit with our hitch in place, and I did notice it wants to make contact with the back of our hitch and it won't allow it to go all the way up and pop into place. So I held it in place and just marked it in the spots. So all I'm going to have to do is trim some of this out so it'll slide back in place, and then we can get our panel reinstalled. With that trimmed out, now we can get our panel put back in place. Just want to line it up with your slots. Now with our panel all put in place, that'll do it for our install of our etrailer hitch on our 2017 Jeep Cherokee. I'm Scott with eTrailer. Thanks for watching.